The history of therapeutic recreation. The beginning. In the 1700s through the 1800s, two men from different nationalities were having similar ideas about treatment for people with mental disorders. Philip Pinel was a French physician and Benjamin Rush was an American physician. During their times of practice, mental illness was thought to be caused by demonic possession. These men denounced this and were pioneers of the humanitarian treatment movement developments. The physicians went to places where patients were being held and took their chains off and put clothes on their backs. This was revolutionary. They also pushed heavily for humane treatment. The York Center was a peaceful mental health care facility that provided recreational activities for patients that these men helped to form. A revolution. During the Industrial Revolution, everyone was working, and being in the workplace and having a job was very important. Therefore, leisure and activities that seemed leisurely to people were seen as laziness. This caused doctors to start providing rest cures. The American Journal of Psychiatry describes a rest cure as isolation, rest, and feeding, with electrotherapy and massage added to counteract muscle atrophy. It was mostly prescribed to women, and at this time, people needed a valid reason for leisure. The World War. In the First World War, a very famous name emerged. Florence Nightingale was a war nurse and is known as the founder of therapeutic recreation. She helped create safe places for soldiers abusing drugs, alcohol, suffering with PTSD, etc. Jane Addams worked hard to integrate immigrants into their own communities in the USA with activities. More on Florence Nightingale. During World War I, she figured out benefits of people doing fun activities in order to aid in recovery. She was one of the first people to advocate the idea of using these kinds of activities in helping with individuals' health. She incorporated this in the war and used different activities based on different needs. Jane Addams. Jane Addams made slums into neighborhoods and playgrounds that would bring communities of immigrants together. She used recreational activities to bring these communities together and create a space of fun in their new home. Birth of a profession. Recreational therapy started to be seen as a profession around the 1940s. At this time, there were two different reasons for practicing. The first one was recreation activities for people in institutions, and the second was therapy for people with certain disabilities. A hard time for the profession. The 1980s were not an easy time for the profession. Legislation passed that denied approval upon necessary services. Job losses and decreased hospital income came with this as well. TEFRA in 1982 and the Social Security Amendment in 1983 made it hard to find justification for payment for services that were considered recreational therapy. A combined approach. For a long time, people debated the difference between therapeutic recreation and recreational therapy. In 1984, ATRA was created. Its focus was reintegration, integration, and development. Reintegration was getting discharged people back into their communities. Integration is helping disabled people find their fit in society, and development is making communities more accessible for these integrations. The ATRA. The ATRA, the American Therapeutic Recreation Association, was developed on June 12, 1984. It has since become the largest society for therapeutic recreation, and it focuses mostly on clinical practices. Beliefs of the ATRA. Recreational therapy is a process provided in diverse settings. Assessment, planning, intervention, evaluation, and documentation are the foundation of therapeutic recreation. An evidence-based practice, professional credentialing, and accreditation. In building powerful relationships to strengthen recreational therapy. And mentoring and developing professionals. And this is all from the history of ATRA, the main website. The NTRS. The NTRS seemed to have no bounds in what it is focused on when the ATRA is focused on clinicals. The NTRS Code of Ethics was written in 1990. The Code of Ethics goes over the profession and the goals of the profession. The first retreat was held in Denton, Texas in 1988. They discussed marketing, communications, publications, public policy, professional standards, and NTRS committee structure. Americans with Disabilities Act. The Americans with Disabilities Act was created in 1990. This stated that all public recreation programs were required to provide people with disabilities equal access to all programs and facilities. This was a major step in the right direction for the profession. Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This was passed in 1975, but still has revisions in value to this present day. This ensured that children with disabilities still had access to public education regardless of their disability. It also changed handicapped to disability. Therapeutic recreation today. Indeed.com lists these jobs for people with degrees in therapeutic recreation. public health educator, rehabilitation counselor, specialty camp programmer, volunteer coordinator, exercise physiologist, workplace wellness coordinator, recreational therapy assistant, activity director, recreational therapist, festival coordinator, environmental education programmer, social worker, campus recreational coordinator, occupational therapist, and physical therapist. Future. Seeing all the jobs and opportunities that therapeutic recreation provides has shown how much the profession has grown since it just being the concept thought of by Philip Pinell and Benjamin Rush. It is exciting to see the growth and be a part of it. This makes me very excited for the future. The effects. All these people and organizations have helped make therapeutic recreation into what it is today. As years go on, progress tends to prove more and more methods for recreational activity. It is exciting to see what the future has in store as everyone is learning more and more every day. Recently, these methods have become more and more mainstream, and the stigma around mental health is becoming more popularized. Our society still has a lot of growing to do, but that means so does this profession. Our roles as students is to learn about the past in order to create the best future. And here are some important names. Philip Pinell, the French physician, pioneer for therapeutic recreation, and Benjamin Rush, also a pioneer, but the American physician. Florence Nightingale, the war nurse who helped create the Red Cross, popularized therapeutic recreation. Jane Addams, settlement activist, started First Settlement House, helped immigrants bring their own culture to the USA. Paul Hahn worked with Mayo Clinic, brought recreational activities to hospitals. And my sources.